Rob, we have a special show today.
Special show, and you wore your special pants honor of this special show.
We did a live show in Seattle. Was it 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago now.
2 weeks ago.
At the Neptune.
At the Neptune Theatre. It was beautiful theatre.
Yep.
And it was great for the people in the room, but a lot of listeners, they weren't in the theatre. So we thought, why not, through the magic of recording and audio, record the episode and release it to everyone.
Yeah, it seemed like a good idea.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, it was
a really fun show. Yeah. And we're going to do some more.
We're going to do some more. But before we start the show, we wanted to thank some of the people.
Yes, it wasn't just us.
Make the show happen. We had my friend Kirk, his band came and played, Real Dawn.
They were amazing. They opened the show. They did a special, which you'll hear soon, a special rendition of our theme.
Yep.
It was so good.
So Kirk told me about this taxidermist in his neighborhood when I joked to him about finding a bunch of birds for our stage set. So I reached out to E. Putnam Studios, and within like 5 minutes, she responded that she was a fan of the show. So Elizabeth Putnam, she showed up with a bunch of birds for us.
Which is amazing, her pulling up in a car outside the venue and just unloading like various beautifully taxidermied birds and dressing our set.
Yes, two of them were Australian.
And just to clarify, some of the birds, if they're alive, would have been flighted. But they were flightless.
Because they're taxidermy. Yeah. I did see some comments.
Oh, yeah, I saw the comments too. It's like, that bird can fly. It's like, can it?
No. And then Sydney Paulsen, she took photos, which we're going to utilize in the visual. We didn't, we weren't able to shoot video for this. So instead, we've got photos and some graphics on YouTube.
Yeah, Sydney took amazing photos. She was in our Seventh-day Adventist episode, and she's an amazing photographer and did amazing work. So thank you, Sydney.
And then my friends, Matt and Kate. Kate was in the school cafeteria episode.
She was. We're basically wrangling people with Matt making the show and helping them run our live show now.
Yeah, Matt I've known for a long time, and they flew up from California to come see the show and helped wrangle people and kind of stage manage, and were a lot of help because it was just the two of us showing up there.
And when we found out, when we're on stage doing the show, there's things that need to happen behind the scenes, and we figured we can't actually do it all ourselves.
Yes.
So they were amazing.
Yeah, lastly, just the staff at Neptune.
They were so cool.
Great. Yeah.
I love that theater. It was a beautiful theater. The staff was so good. Everything sounded good. Everyone was happy.
Yeah.
God, it was good.
Hopefully everyone was happy.
I hope so.
We'll see.
They seemed happy.
Yeah.
No complaints yet. And so with that in mind, we're going to do some more live shows.
Yeah.
We're just kind of doing these when we can fit them in. I think like we're both quite busy, but we have 2 coming up.
We're going to do one of my other favorite cities in this country, Portland.
Yes.
On April 13th. It's a
Put
Sunday.
It in your calendar.
The Sunday before Easter. So we had to make sure we were off for Easter.
Yeah, that helps.
And then April 18th, a Friday in San Francisco.
So put those dates, if you're in those cities or near those cities, put it in your calendar. We will announce over my Instagram and a few other places where you can get tickets when they go on sale.
Yeah, it should be up in the next couple of weeks.
I think they'll go quickly, so get in quick probably, because they did in Seattle. And actually, like we did with Seattle, if you're in San Francisco or Portland and you know a topic that you think we should look into for the episode.
Yes.
Specifically, if you know somebody we could talk to that is super close to something really interesting. So instead of being like, oh, there was this really crazy cult, what's really helpful if you're like, oh, my uncle was the cult leader. That's like a bonus.
That's the dream.
That's the dream kind
scenario.
Of email. But yeah, honestly, anything interesting in the city. But if you have specific links to someone that can teach us about it, then flightlessbirdchat@gmail.com. Just email us the basics and that will help us plan the shows.
I think even just like ideas for talent for weird niche things in the city.
Yeah. But we're not from those cities, so we don't know them as well as you do. So yeah, any tips are welcomed. And it was so helpful for Seattle. Like we just learned so much just from those emails. So yeah, start emailing us and that'll help us plan the shows. So yeah, looking forward to going to those 2 cities. It was a blast doing it in Seattle. There's something about being out and actually meeting people that listen to the show that feels very special. And I loved it.
Yeah, it's weird because we record this in this empty studio with just the two of us.
Yeah, there's no one here. There's like cameras and it's just us. So just having feedback from a crowd is really fun. And I think you'll hear that in this episode today. It was a blast for us. And yeah, we want to do more when we can get the chance to do it.
Yeah, so as long as people show up when we go to Portland and San Francisco, we'll keep trying to do
if people don't show up,
that.
We'll stop doing it. But for now, it seems like very fun. So we're going to keep going. So yeah, this was our episode in Seattle, and you can probably guess how it kicked off.
Hello.
Hi, Rosabelle. How are you?
I'm good. How are you going?
I'm really good. I feel like, did you have a big night last night?
I just haven't been drinking, and then I got a bit drunk.
What were you drinking?
Just Negroni and bubbles.
Did you wake up with that feeling of like, when you've drunk too much, you wake up with that feeling of like, oh, uh-oh?
It wasn't too bad. I feel like I was very, like I stopped drinking at a certain point to take care of myself.
Oh, that's good. Oh, I have a question for you. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about performing in front of large crowds?
Performing or speaking?
Speaking. Like, do you get nervous? Are you fine?
I'm fine.
Do you like it? Do you like the attention?
I don't love the attention, but I obviously have done writers' events and stuff like that.
Do you have any advice for me? Because I get nervous in front of crowds.
Are you recording me right now?
Maybe.
Do I have advice for you? I don't think you get nervous in front of crowds, do you?
No, not a little bit sometimes, but then it goes away.
I actually find speaking in front of a bigger crowd is easier especially when you can't see the audience and the lights are just on your face, versus speaking to an intimate crowd where you're making eye contact with everyone.
They say if you get nervous, you should picture someone in the audience is naked and you just look at them. I've never really understood how that helps, but is that a thing you've ever done?
I haven't done it. I guess it's like, because then you imagine they're just as vulnerable as you are, but it's kind of then you're just like embarrassed for everybody involved. Like, why are they naked?
Yeah, and I feel like I don't want to be like perving at a naked person throughout the entire show.
Yeah.
I've got one final question. We're doing the show in Seattle. What do you know about Seattle? Do you know anything?
I know nothing about Seattle. A lot of like really cool musicians are from there. Mm-hmm. I think, do they have a needle? Grey's Anatomy, I think, is set there. Is it? Maybe it's not. Maybe the name of the hospital just has Seattle in the name.
Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, these are things we're all going to find out. Do you have anything you'd like to say to the people of Seattle before we start the show?
I hope that this event doesn't disappoint you.
Flightless bird cuts down in America. Flightless bird cuts down in America.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for coming out tonight, Seattle. You look beautiful. Just excuse me as I grapple
help with that?
With my microphone holder. Rob, help. Already embarrassed. I need him. Like, this is so important to the show. You don't know how much stuff I fuck up always, and Rob is there just secretly saving the day every time. Thank you, Rob. And I'm also slightly worried that in opening with such a strong musical performance, we've kind of like set the bar too high. Like way too high. It's been a really nice few days here. We've spent, I say, like, what, a day and a half here now?
Yeah, we came a couple days early to see your city for a little bit before doing this.
Yeah. Because, like, what's the point of leaving the hellscape of Los Angeles if you're not going to actually experience a new place?
Exactly.
And, we love Seattle. We're not trying to suck up to you. It's like, genuinely, it's good. We had a little field trip, and we just thought we'd kick the show off with both of us learning about your beautiful city.
David had apple cider for the first time.
I genuinely say this. I've never had apple cider before in my entire life. And it was beautiful. I loved it. I love sugar, so it's my happy place. I'm happy.
Yeah, you asked how they made it.
Oh my God. Yeah, I did. God, I'm dumb.
We had to go see the gum wall.
When we mentioned that we were doing the show, we wanted submissions, the number of people that said go to the gum wall was so... It was underground tour, which, spoiler alert, we didn't do. I'm sorry. Just because I thought
we all
know about it. I didn't want to just tell you about what you'd done already. But we had to do the gum wall, and it was fucking disgusting. And we loved it, and it was great. Please never stop. Yeah, it's like a little date. Yeah, we went up the needle. So
this is David going up the elevator to the top, terrified.
I have such a problem. I like to think I'm not too scared of things, but heights is my phobia. I hate heights. When we went camping in New Zealand for school, we had to do, is it called abseiling, where you drop off a cliff? Do you know this?
No, I don't.
Do you know about abseiling in America? So you have a rope around your
Rappelling, I think they're saying.
Oh, is that what you call it? Rappelling?
Yeah.
We call it abseiling in New Zealand. You learn something new every day. I couldn't do it. My whole body would freeze, and so heights for me are a huge problem. So I was incredibly brave doing this, is what I'm trying to say.
But he did climb on top.
Yeah, horrible. Awful. Yeah, but I loved it. Rob was very brave. Yeah. Beautiful view. Now.
Yeah.
I find the names of American sports arenas fascinating. I feel like, when I was a kid, the idea of living in America was very cool and interesting. And I feel the longer I've stayed in America, the more embarrassing it's become. And this is how you get an American audience on side. You insult their country. But I feel like stadium names are not helping you guys.
Well, to be fair, I think they've gotten worse. Like, they started off cool.
Yeah.
There's Comiskey Park, and now there's Climate Pledge Arena.
Which is way better than what we have in LA, which is Crypto Arena, which is the most embarrassing thing on planet Earth.
We have the guaranteed rate field in Chicago, too.
Oh, my God. And before Crypto Arena, it was the Staples Center, and Staples is like a stationery store?
Yep.
That's so lame. But not as lame as Crypto Arena. But no, I love this. I mean, I'm all for the environment.
Slow down.
I'm all for the environment, but it's funny, isn't it? All right. Oh,
this was probably the second most requested thing that we visit.
Troll. So yes, Seattle, you love the troll. You love trolls. Yeah, I love trolls as well. I mean, it was beautiful. I loved his sort of blue eye that was looking at us.
Yeah, that milky eye.
A number of families walked in front of us whilst we were taking this photo. And also there's a roundabout do you have roundabouts? Do you know what I'm saying? You have roundabout.
Yeah.
Those are very close, and cars were like almost flying into us the entire time we were taking this photo. But we got it. What else did we do? Oh, okay. Oh. So
I skipped this one.
So I love cats, and I'm very pleased that you have cat cafes in Seattle. You can also apparently drink wine at cat cafes, and so Rob was working on this show, and I just said, I'm just going to duck out. I've got some work to do. And so I went, this is about maybe 3 p.m., And I thought it would be fun to get like a big glass of wine. And I went to the cat cafe, and it was just like me and children and their parents. It felt incredibly creepy. And suddenly this like funny thing I was going to do of drinking wine at a cat cafe was like a nightmare scenario. But I did get this funny photo. And also the art in there I thought was great because there's sort of this very sexualized cat that they had up, which made me feel even creepier in there.
By yourself with children.
Yeah, but I know, overall, 10 out of 10. Seattle's cat cafe culture, very good. Oh. Do we know Defy? Yeah. I have become a massive... So my first American wrestling match was Defy Wrestling here in Seattle. It's fucking amazing. I went with my friend Dave, and I'm just not just saying my name in the third person. I do have a friend called Dave. We went, and it was incredible. I know that it's acting, but fuck those people. They go through it. Like, they were bleeding. It's fucking insane. So, yeah, I loved it. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell what's going on here?
I mean, we are staying in an Airbnb for this trip.
Yeah.
And there are lots of labels all over the Airbnb.
So, to be clear, to go into my bedroom, I have to put on slippers that are in a little thing outside my door. It's so intense, and I feel like this Airbnb was created by a couple that thought an alien was coming to stay, like someone had just like beamed in from Mars.
I kind of appreciate it.
I feel like you're one of the most organized people I've met, and
Yeah.
Is this your Airbnb? Is this how you're making money out of the show?
I'll also say they've emailed me about 45 times since we've gotten here.
I mean, it works. It's the cleanest place I've ever stayed in my entire life. So this whole thing works. My God. Yeah, so that was our experience in Seattle so far. A few things that didn't make it into that list. I've noticed that, you can fill me in here, but you all park in different directions on your roads. I was in an Uber and I was panicking. We were going the wrong way down a one-way street. I told him, we're going down the wrong way. And he looked at me like I was crazy. But genuinely, it's the most fucked up thing I've seen in a city. It's just willy-nilly. You just park in whatever direction you want. I've never seen it in another American city. It certainly doesn't happen in New Zealand where we're civilized. So I just wanted to raise that. And look, I'm going way too long on this segment, but just one other thing that shocked me this morning, and this might be lost in translation, but we were walking along with our friends, and there was... How do I explain this? There was like...
Oh, yeah.
They were cleaning up a bar, and there was a big mop outside, like a mop in a bucket of water, but it was just sick, like spew
It was
in the
a
bucket.
full bucket of puke that he was mopping with.
And I've never had such a visceral, like, disgusted reaction in my fucking life. Because it's not just seeing vomit. Imagine seeing vomit in the mop bucket they're using to clean.
Yeah, I walked past and then turned and looked at you as you were looking over it. And
I
then
was
looked
shook.
disgusted.
The rest of Seattle, great. But don't mop with vomit and park your cars all in the right direction. Please. Okay. We're moving into an incredibly important segment right now because I think, Rob came up with this idea, and we've always been fascinated by Florida Man, and everyone teases. Like in New Zealand, we all tease America because of Florida. Like, Florida Man did this. Florida Man did that. News for you. Have you met Seattle Man? Yeah. Now, Rob hasn't seen these articles. I'm just going to briefly explain what's going on. This happened on January 8th. This is from Fox 13, a very wonderful outlet you have here in Seattle. Police arrested a man accused of attacking a man with a sword and fleeing on a stunt bike in Seattle's Chinatown International District. According to police, 2 men got into an argument at an apartment complex near 8th Street and South King Street. During the argument, the 41-year-old suspect pulled a sword, concealed, and this is what I like, in his cane. It's like we're in a Bond movie suddenly. Just whips that out of his cane, and he slashed the other man's face. Ooh. Which sounds dramatic, but he just cut his lower lip. Pathetic. The suspect is then believed, and I love this language in news reporting, he's believed to have. What does that mean? He's believed to have gotten on a BMX-style bike and sped away. Officers were called to the scene at 6:37 a.m., where they found a 51-year-old man with a wound on his lip. That's the victim. Police treated him, the level of detail, and Seattle Fire Department paramedics arrived to take him to Harborview Medical Center. He survived. Are you here tonight? Imagine. Okay, I love this. This is the kind of news we have in New Zealand all the time. I spent about 10 years of my life just covering these stories in New Zealand. It was my whole job. Okay, I'll keep this brief. It's very wordy. It's a residential side street in sleepy Magnolia, lined with multi-million-dollar homes and manicured lawns. When you walk by and see a court covered entirely in giant pumpkins and flowers, you can't help but do a double take. Wow, look at all these pumpkins. A driver pulls over and gets out of her car for a closer look. It's amazing. A neighbor out for a walk calls out. I'm pretty sure the reporter just invented these quotes. There's even a one-of-a-kind tree in the front yard, a magnolia pumpkin tree. Look up and you'll notice a big orange pumpkin suspended between the glossy green leaves. Seattle resident Greg Shaw. Is Greg Shaw here? Disappointing. Seattle resident Greg Shaw has grown a giant pumpkin nearly every year since 1980, 2 years before I was born. His pumpkin patch sprawls across the city lot, and when he ran out of surface area, he sent the vines creeping up the trellis into the magnolia tree. Point being, he's got his vines up a tree and they grow off the tree. It's cool. That's kind of it. Yeah. Have we got any Magic the Gathering fans out? This was from geekwire.com, February 21st, last year. Seattle police arrested a Seattle man who allegedly stole about $40,000 worth of collectible cards for Wizards of the Coast's Magic the Gathering. It's a lot of Magic the Gathering cards. He'd worked as a temporary employee at a warehouse on Leary Ave in Seattle's Ballard neighborhood. Anyone here from the Ballard neighborhood? Whoa.
I think it's Ballard.
Are you the thief? The alleged thief was caught when the manager of the warehouse found cards similar to the missing cards being sold on an unsuspected online marketplace and placed an order. You're very savvy here in Seattle. When the package arrived, the return address matched the suspects, at which point police got involved and they made their arrest. That's the gist. This story was amazing. It goes on for another 2 pages.
Oh.
But the journalist is basically a huge fan of Magic the Gathering.
Wait.
Oh, no. Okay. Oh, no. Do we know about this one? Jesus. So, what I found most interesting, when we found this article, it was from the St. Vincent Times. And I was like, is this a suburb of Seattle? No, St. Vincent is an island in the Eastern Caribbean Sea. So this shit's so crazy, it got to the Caribbean and was their like front page story. Okay. Just yell out if you know the story. Yell out if you don't know it. Whoa! Oh my God, you're in for a ride. A space rocket program manager brutally killed her father with an ice axe on a... it's a space rocket program manager. That's fucking cool.
Yeah, she's smart.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's not like a podcaster. She's a space rocket program manager. She brutally killed her father with an ice axe on election night after a breakdown following Trump's victory. Cops said 33-year-old Corey Burke was found clapping and smiling, covered in her father's blood. America. Burke reportedly considered the attack to be an act of liberation, according to charging documents. She's been accused of strangling, biting, and hacking her father, 67, to death in their $800,000 Seattle home. Is that an expensive home in Seattle? It seems expensive. No? Jesus. Now, both Rob and I thought it was very important that during this podcast we were not just telling you about things that you already know about your own town, but we're all learning together. Rob sort of said to me, like, let's look at some crazy true crime shit that happened in Seattle. There's a lot. But the thing we landed on is a man called Gary Gene Grant. Who knows Gary Gene Grant? Oh, this is amazing. No one. Great. He's sort of like subtitled as Seattle's forgotten serial killer, and all too often we forget them, don't we?
He looks a lot like
so many.
He looks a lot like Crispin Glover.
He really does. Who, by the way, when I first came to Los Angeles, I met him in the street and spent about an hour with him walking around. He just talked to me about his films, and I had no idea who he was. It was crazy. But he gave me one of his books, and I still have it, and it was really beautiful. Anyway, Gary Gene Grant. This is him. I want to introduce a very special guest that we have here tonight. It's not Gary Gene, don't worry. Cloyd Steiger is a retired detective here in Seattle, and he literally wrote the book on this man. And I would like to welcome Cloyd to the stage now to educate us. You can remove the American Girl doll, if you like. Cloyd, thank you so much for coming here tonight.
Sure thing, no problem.
I'm always, part of making the show is calling people, and some people call you back and some people don't, and you were back straight away, which I'm so appreciative of.
Sure thing.
Can you just quickly, before we get into your investigation into this particular case, can you just tell us your history here in Seattle?
Well, I was born and raised in the area, and I joined the Seattle Police Department in 1979 when I was 21 years old.
Wow.
And worked the police department, different positions in patrol. Then I was on the SWAT team. Eventually, I became a detective in 1990, and I worked precinct detective in the East Precinct on Capitol Hill to start with. Then I went to downtown to sex crimes. I worked East Precinct 2 years, downtown sex crimes for 2 years, and then had an opportunity to go to homicide. And I said, sure. And I went to homicide in 1994 and stayed there till I retired in 2016.
You must have seen some shit.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. I investigated about 250 murders during my time, including serial killers, mass killers, psychotic killers, and just people that kill people for no stupid goddamn reason.
It's funny because I feel like America is kind of obsessed with true crime the entire world is. I'm just, before we get into this particular case, how do you look at America's obsession with true crime? Because I feel like you were doing this before it was a show.
Me all the time. I've
been the bottom feeders.
Yeah, I've been on about 40 podcasts about it. I've been on about 15 or 17 investigation discovery shows, Oxygen, Lifetime Movie Network, and all this stuff about true crime. It's really, really, and it's helped me. Crime paid my mortgage, so that's good.
Yay! For someone that's completely unfamiliar with the case, I've read the book, but what was Gary doing?
He was killing people in Renton in the late 60s, early 70s. He was 18 years old and he'd wander through the woods, just generally. And if he came across somebody, he'd murder them. And if they were female, he'd try to rape them. And he did it. His first victim we know of was like a 19-year-old girl who was going to school at Renton Voc Tech. and she lived in an apartment in downtown Renton. She had an assignment for school, and so the Renton Library, which crosses the Cedar River, really cool library, she decided to walk down there and research it. Well, instead of taking the main street, she took, at that time, was a muddy trail along the Cedar River, and she got there fine, did her homework, and never came. She left the library, but nobody saw her after that until
that was the first.
That was the first known victim, and then a man who worked down there by the river. He was thinking, he wanted to go fishing after work. So before work, he decided to walk down and check the water conditions, and he came across her body. Of course, this is something we hear all the time from people that find bodies. At first, I thought it was a mannequin. They all say that. But it wasn't. It was a murdered young girl, naked, laying on this trail. So the Renton police, at that time, there were only 5 detectives in the entire Renton Police Department. And so they were like, they were over their heads. Okay, they really were to begin with. But they started looking at this case and trying. Whenever you have a whodunit homicide, you spend the first week traveling down rabbit holes. You think it sounds good, and all of a sudden you end a dead end because that's not the right lead. So you have to go all the way back to the beginning and start all over, and that's what they did. A month or two later, this little 17-year-old girl up on the hill in Renton, which at that time was in unincorporated King County. It's now part of the city of Renton, but she had been there. It was a Sunday afternoon. Her parents had gone to do some things, and she was supposed to go bike riding with her friend, and they came back, and she said, I'm gonna take a walk. I'll be back in 20 minutes. So she walked out of her house. The neighbor saw her walk past his house, and there were some trails that went into this big wooded area. She never came back. She disappeared. The mother, of course, was freaking out. She's calling all her friends. Have you seen her? Have you seen her? And nobody'd seen her. She called the police, the sheriff's office. Oh, it was King County Police back then. And, they did the, drives me crazy. Oh, you got to wait 24 hours. That's absolutely, by the way, that is absolutely bullshit. Yeah, it is. Right. There is no requirement to wait 24 hours. Now, sometimes they'll say the circumstances, but when you got a young girl missing like that, you got to pull out all the stops. So she didn't show up the next day. The mother's driving around to her friends' houses. And finally, about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, she calls the police again. This time, they dispatch a deputy out to her house. And this guy was actually pretty smart. He listens to the story and he goes, oh, this is not good. So he calls the sergeant and he goes, this is bad. We need to start a massive search.
And this is Renton, right?
Renton, yeah. At that time,
Renton, people?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yay, Renton.
Yeah. Renton is just southeast of Seattle.
Okay.
They start looking, and about midnight, a volunteer firefighter finds her body in the bushes. She was naked. She's been drug off the trail, just like the first one. So they start working that. It's a different police department. It's the sheriff's office. They start working that. So, and then a couple in the spring, I think it was in April, it was one of those teachers' workshop days, when they cancel school on a Tuesday. All the kids in this neighborhood would play outside. This woman had 2 sons, like 8, and the other was 6, and they were playing out with their friends. And after a while, she looks in her backyard, and the 8-year-old's not there. And she calls her son, or the 6-year-old, I forgot his name now. Oh, he went with his other friend. They went playing in the woods. Well, she didn't think anything of that because people played in the woods. Then this is up at the hill in Renton too, on the east side of Renton. They were supposed to come back and they didn't come back. And so both sets of parents were freaking out. Of course, this time when they call the police, when you got a couple little boys missing, you don't say wait 24 hours, right? The 2 boys are dead. They're both naked. One of them's been strangled. The other's been stabbed to death. In the meantime, let's go to Valley Medical Center. Valley General Hospital, okay?
Yeah.
A guy comes in there and comes walking and sits down and he's just looking weird. He's not saying anything. And finally, the girl working the counter says, can I help you with something? And he goes, I feel like I want to hurt somebody. When I get that way, I go to the hospital. And so she calls a psych nurse out, and the psych nurse talked to him. And then they decide to take him back. And the on-duty doctor there talks to him. He goes, I feel like I want to hurt people. I want to hurt people. And so he goes, give him some Thorazine, stick him in a room, and that's what they did.
And that's your guy. It's got to be your guy.
Yeah, well, you think. This is the same Tuesday that the boys ended up missing, by the way. They actually charge him with the murder. And in the meantime, the Renton police decide to try to search that area with, explorers and stuff, and they're slashing brush. Well, they find a knife in the brush. It's probably the murder weapon it's consistent with. And so they get that and they have it sent to the crime lab. It's got tape wrapped around the handle where it used to be. So the crime lab guy, who I happen to know, he was still, he was undoing the tape. And at that time, DNA wasn't used in forensics at that time, because that would have been the number one priority. He was looking for fingerprints on the tape. But he gets to the bottom, and there's a name etched in the metal.
Yeah, that's a good clue.
Yeah, that's a clue, yeah.
So if you're ever going to kill someone, don't etch your name into the murder weapon.
My line for that is, in the business, we call that a clue. So anyway, they find out who this guy is by asking people, and they say, well, he just joined the Marines. He's in San Diego in basic training. And they go, well, that's weird. He's getting out. He's supposed to come home like in 2 weeks. Okay, so he comes back, and they bring him in, ask him to come in. He's fine. He goes, did you have this knife? He goes, yeah, I had that knife. He says, I sold it to this guy, but I know he doesn't have it. He gave it away to another kid, and they give the kid's name, who was like 12. So they go grab this kid out of school, and they ask him, and he goes, yeah, I had that knife. He says, I was with a friend of mine in his truck, and I accidentally left it in the truck. And then I called the friend, and he said, oh, my dad found it. I can't
Right, so you're just following this knife from owner to owner to owner.
Yeah. They trace the knife, owner to owner. And so it worked out great, because then the guy says, who's this guy? Oh, it's Gary Grant. And what Gary said was, I couldn't have done it. I love kids. And then he said, I don't remember any of it. When I close my eyes, I can see it like it were a camera.
Wait, so the guy that was arrested, the guy that confessed.
Right, he's in jail still.
Right, but he
still?
No, at that time.
Okay, but
he's dead now.
Okay, he didn't do it.
He didn't do it.
So he was just mentally unwell and was completely
he did a false
innocent of anything.
confession. Yeah.
Okay.
So Gary starts crying.
Okay.
And then confesses to the murders of the two boys.
Okay.
So they call the detectives, and he just confessed. And they go, oh my God, I can't believe it. So they say to him, take a tape recorded statement from him. Uh-huh. When they're done, they go to check. The recorder did not record.
Oh, it's deeply annoying.
Yeah. Oh my God. So they go back.
We've done an entire episode and didn't fucking record. Yeah. That was annoying. So let alone a confession.
Luckily, they grabbed another recorder, and he was willing to tell the whole story again. He just told the whole story again.
It's funny hearing these things, because you understand, as an outsider, you think that these things are so honed and specific. No. But there's so much hokiness that happens around the outside. Like, it wasn't recording.
Then. Yeah. Anyway, so they end up realizing it's him. Then the prosecutor's got a conundrum, because he's got this innocent guy in jail who is crazy as a loon. And so then they ended up releasing him. And sorry, out the door.
Yeah. And Gary went down for it.
And then Gary went down for it.
But essentially, he killed 2 women and 2 kids.
Right.
He went down for it.
Right.
What made this whole thing so confusing is that someone else came and confessed to some of the murders.
Yeah, that was a real snafu.
Just happened to do that.
Yeah.
Didn't kill them, just mentally unwell.
And Gary is still alive. Last I checked, he's in Monroe.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Still there.
He's been
in prison
for 56
life.
years now.
Yeah, prison for life. Great.
Prison for life, yeah. Well, originally they sought the death penalty, but he was so young the jury did not return the death penalty.
Okay.
Because he would have been executed back then.
Maybe we can get into this in the Q&A at the end, but I feel like he was incredibly mentally unwell and had like a whole lot of insane trauma.
Oh, yeah.
From his own childhood.
I mean, he had his mom was a friggin' nut.
If you're Gary Jean Grant, what your mother did was like she called you into bed every night and made you strip off all your clothes and like sleep with her.
I think she was having sex with him, yeah.
Plus
she was incredibly violent. Yeah. She was also incredibly violent.
So that shit adds up.
He actually was I better not say that.
Yeah, it was bleak. It was bleak.
Huh? No, he was a motherfucker. Yeah.
All right. Thank you for all of this. We're going to bring you back at the end.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And we're going to do some more questions.
Sure,
Thank you so much.
All right.
Stay tuned for more Flightless Bird. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. Flightless Bird is brought to you by Rocket Money. Now, if you're anything like me, you sign up for something, some kind of service, you forget about it after the trial period ends, even if you'd marked it in your calendar, and then you're charged for it. The subscriptions are sitting there, you're not using them, but that money is still leaving your account. In fact, I just learned that 85% of people have at least one paid subscription going unused every month, and that adds up. Thanks to Rocket Money, you can see all your subscriptions in the one place and cancel the ones you're not using anymore, and that saves you money. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Rocket Money's dashboard gives you a clear view of your expenses across all of your accounts. You can easily create a personalized budget with custom categories to help keep your spending on track. And if you're not good with money, this is extra handy. See your monthly spending trends in each category to know exactly where your money's going. And what I really like, Rocket Money will even try to negotiate lower bills for you. They automatically scan your bills to find opportunities to save, and then you can get them to negotiate on your behalf. They'll deal with the customer service so you don't have to. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in cancelled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. So, cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/bird today. That's rocketmoney.com/bird. rocketmoney.com/bird. Support for Flightless Bird comes from Mint Mobile. Now, I don't know about you, but I like keeping my money where I can see it. Unfortunately, the traditional big wireless carriers also seem to like keeping my money as well. Fancy that. And after years of overpaying for wireless, I'm talking upwards of $80 a month, I finally got fed up from crazy high bills, bogus fees, and free perks that actually cost me more in the long run, and I switched to Mint Mobile. Before we got the sponsor for Flightless Bird, I actually had no idea a mobile plan in America could cost less than $80 a month, and now I'm really glad I know. Mint Mobile is here to rescue you with premium wireless plans starting at $15 a month. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. So ditch overpriced plans, get 3 months of premium wireless service from Mint Mobile for $15 a month. If you like your money, Mint Mobile is for you. Shop plans at mintmobile.com/bird. That's mintmobile.com/bird. Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month 5GB plan required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customer offer for first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details. Roller coaster. Now, when I say roller coaster, I really mean roller coaster. Because, does anyone know the Rain City Jacks? Okay, yes, this is good. Okay, one person, this is good. So, the Rain City Jacks blew my mind, and I'm trying to figure out where to start with this. Do you have a thing called soggy biscuit in America?
Yeah, we do.
So soggy biscuit is sort of like a myth in New Zealand, and what it is that in the male changing rooms at school, you place a biscuit, or in New Zealand, it's a piece of Wheat Bix, which is a dry breakfast cereal. You place it in the middle, and all the boys gather around in a circle, and they all masturbate.
And the last one has to eat it.
Yeah.
The last one to come.
Soggy biscuit. Which is like, I still don't know if that, you do have that. Soggy waffle. How American. Soggy waffle. Oh my God. Have you done it? Okay. So, the Rain City Jacks is something that I wanted to learn more about. And so the first thing I did was I went to their website where they had a code of conduct. And Rob has put together a presentation. So the Rain City Jacks is a club of males. And for the record, I fully support all of this. I think it's fucking great. And I was going to go, but we didn't get here at the right date. And I will be coming. That was unintentional. At another time. So the code of conduct, masturbation only. It's a simple rule. You know what you're getting into at the Rain City Jacks. What's next?
Rule 2, nothing goes inside anybody's anything.
And I like this because the Rain City Jacks is a male masturbation club. And it's not about sex with other people, it's about self-pleasure around other men, which I'm a big supporter of. Do. Masturbate yourself. You show off, watch. You only touch others with consent, which I think is incredibly important.
Don't oral sex, anal contact, docking, or anything without consent. Do you want to explain docking?
Happy to. No, I mean, it's funny. I grew up in an incredibly conservative Christian home and came out as bisexual a long time after that. But I remember learning about... Thank you. I remember learning about docking at school when I was incredibly Christian. And I just remember like all the shock that I sort of encountered with that. But you know, docking is where you, you sort of need a foreskin, which, ding, 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 is a early Flightless Bird episode about circumcision. Because in America, you all cut the foreskin off, which is crazy. In New Zealand, we don't do that. But one partner pulls their foreskin back so the head of the penis is out, and the other partner gets their foreskin and pulls it over the end of the head of your penis and docks, much like spaceships in Interstellar or Star Trek, where they're sort of spinning round and combining.
All right.
So, you have to be naked at one of these Rain City Jacks events.
Come verbally with words. Get consent before coming on others.
Yeah. And this is something I'm still trying to wrap my head around. Because in my mind, I still have Soggy Biscuit, where everyone is like trying to come quickly and at the same time. A Rain City Jacks event goes on for about an hour and a half. And I'm curious about this. Rob?
Rule 7, ask first. Say, may I, before touching another member's penis.
Do you want to role play this? Confidentiality. I like this. Anyone that goes to one of these events, it's like AA, everything's anonymous, everything's shut down. You're not like, oh my God, I saw so-and-so at this event. Love this. Similar.
Never disclose anyone else's identity.
Yeah, I like that. They could probably combine those two into the one, I'd say. Never attend when sick.
Fair.
Great advice for any event. If anyone here is sick, fuck you. No, just in general in life. Also, weirdly, I've found out that after COVID, I feel like people have gotten more feral with coughing. I feel like the last flight I took, people were coughing openly more than they used to before COVID. Is that me?
At dinner last night, I was at the bar top, and a man turned and coughed on me away from his date.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something about the pandemic has weirdly made some people less prone to care than before. It's really unusual to me, and I don't understand it. We'll do an episode about that. Never bring alcohol or drugs, and don't show up intoxicated. No poppers. I love that. It's a sober zone, and I respect that.
Rule 12, be clean, wash hands, use mouthwash, do not wear fragrance.
There's also one of the label makers, which we didn't put in our presentation. There's mouthwash in our bathroom, and there's a little label that says, use this for the mouthwash. Don't put your lips on the mouthwash container.
Yeah.
Anyway. Okay. Is that the end of the rules?
Nope. Rule 13, chat quietly. Don't distract others with loud, unsexy talking.
That's the worst.
Do you want to demonstrate unsexy talking?
Okay. Rule 14, silicone wristbands are consent shorthand. Red means don't touch my dick. Green means you may touch my dick without asking first.
Some of these rules are conflicting, though.
And without further ado, I would like to welcome Paul Rosenberg from the Rain City Jacks. Paul. How was
Hello,
it for
Seattle.
How was it for you hearing two annoying podcasters talking about your rules and having a little laugh?
It was awesome. It was fantastic. I like how you kind of truncated it because they're really long. They're too long.
They're good rules. They're really succinct.
They are. They're all there for a purpose.
Is it your 20-year anniversary soon?
Yeah, we celebrate 20 years in June. Amazing. Yeah.
Okay, so just rewind because I'm sort of blown away by the idea of jackoff clubs in general. Sure. They are, this podcast is obsessed with American culture. This was a thing that started in the United States, right?
Yes.
Do they have them in New Zealand?
I don't think we do. They're in Australia. The Sydney Wankers? The Melbourne Wankers. Yeah, they're not in New Zealand. Not that I know of. I'm not invited. I don't know.
They might be there.
But where did it start? Where did this concept start of having like a group of dudes together to just like, hey, we don't want to masturbate alone. We want to do it together.
Sure. It started in 1980 in New York City. It kind of grew out of the gay culture there. New York.
New York.
That was easy. New York. And so it really came out of the gay culture of the 70s, which kind of was this explosion of excitement and play that happened after Stonewall. And there were lots of different groups and divisions of interest because it's like, we're all free now, so let's explore all the things we're interested in, right? So it was kind of leather culture, there was a lot of costume culture, like wearing uniforms, and this was part of that. It was in the meatpacking district at a bar called Jay's.
I mean, that's funny, isn't it? Meatpacking district. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of great.
Gee, I never thought of that before. Wow.
You must love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, so I want to skip forward because I do have some questions about this that I genuinely do not understand. And I do want to come to one of your events. Do you, how does it work in the room? I still don't understand. Is it, because at times you've got over 100 people in the same space. Yeah. I don't understand if everyone is coming together or separately and like dripping in and out. Do you know what I mean? That wasn't intentional. How does it work?
Well, the events last about 2.5 hours total. And so we've got an hour of check-in time. People can come in enter at any point during that first hour, and they can leave whenever they want, but they can't come back in. So people play for as long as works for them. They come whenever they feel like it. There's always a few people there at the 2.5 hour mark that we have to say, hey, lights are coming up. And
hurry up.
So what happens is people check in. If they've never been there before, they get new member orientation. They go over those rules, and they show them where the bathrooms are and where the refreshments are, and they answer questions. And then people take off their clothes, they stow them in lockers that we supply, and then they go up the stairs. It's a two-story place.
Much like this venue.
Yeah. So they go up the stairs into this big play space that we've decked out with really sexy lighting and great music, and it's just kind of a sexy space that's warm enough to be naked. And then people, they start out kind of like finding a place to sit, and then as the place fills up, people will start approaching each other. Or if they know each other, they'll approach each other.
And that's when the wristbands are out.
Yeah, and the wristbands are mostly not used. And when they are, they use the green wristbands. It's like, just grab it.
Yeah, ready now.
Just grab it. Everybody edges. They all want to make the experience last as long as possible. Mm-hmm. That seems to be the de facto standard. And it's really friendly. It's oddly warm and friendly and communal and positive. And that's what has kept me doing this for 20 years. It's enormously gratifying, and it's community.
And where does Seattle sit on the different clubs around America? Is this one of the longest running ones? Is it relatively new?
It's currently the longest running jackoff club on the West Coast.
Congratulations. Yeah.
And we're the most active. We host about 43 events a year.
That's insane.
Yeah, not quite. Yeah. We don't do them all in the summer because, I mean, we have them like every other week in the summer because Seattleites don't like to be indoors when it's nice out.
What's the cleanup process like?
I always get that question. That was a good question. Yeah. So 2 things happen around cleanup. Is everybody interested in who cleans up? Of course. So men have been masturbating all their lives, right?
Not me. Never.
I'll see you upstairs after the show. I'm a good teacher. So we have routines around masturbation that invariably involve cleaning up. We have done this hundreds, thousands of times in our lives. So there's kind of a natural process of wiping up after ourselves. Yeah. So we just do that. Some guys will want as many people as possible to come on their bodies, and then they'll just wear it. And then at the end of the night, we wipe everything up and mop. I've got a huge core of volunteers. I have the largest organization of any jackoff club that exists.
Incredible. I love this. Is it, and this is a bit of a hack question, but I feel like I've had people come on me, it's fine, but it's like, what's the smell like in that space? Because like one thing about me, and this is a person, I don't love the smell of cum.
Right.
Some people do, some people don't, but I just think the volume of it would be more than your typical encounter. So what is the smell like? Because I noticed on the rules, because I was thinking like, can I wear rub some Vicks on? Do you have Vicks in America under my, to do with the smell?
Right.
What do you do?
Well, smell is the reason we don't have poppers, because they tend to circulate. People don't want to smell them necessarily.
Okay.
But mostly what you smell is body odor. You smell sweat. You smell bodies.
That can be cool.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. It's intoxicating.
Yeah, great.
And it's the sweat of men who are very aroused, like 85, 90, 100 men, all aroused and chill in this space. So we don't smell semen all that much. And not all semen smells the same, just FYI.
Okay, I'll go to my doctor. Check that out. My final kind of like hack question about all of this is one final thing, and that is not everyone there is necessarily like gay or bisexual, right? You have some straight people that come along that just want camaraderie while they do their thing. How does that work?
How does it work? It works the same for everyone. It works the same for everyone. Everyone is confidential, so it doesn't matter how men identify their sexuality. It doesn't matter. If they want to do this, they're welcome. If they want to do what we offer and they're willing to play by our rules, then we've got a great community with a great energy. And I do ask, with every couple of years, I'll do a survey and I'll say, how do you identify your sexual orientation? And it always comes out 65% gay, 25% bi, and 10% straight. Yeah.
That's a little ooh.
Yeah. And as for why, I've talked to some of these guys. They all have different reasons.
Okay, we've got this might be my last question. Do you have anything, Rob? My last question, and then we've got to do the final part of the show because I see the time whizzing by. It's crazy how quickly time goes by up here. It's insane. Yeah. It's a final hack question for me. Everyone, when they come, we make a funny noise. And I know in the instructions you're like, don't make too many noises.
This is come verbally, though.
What?
Come verbally.
Oh, was that what the rule was?
Let people know you're going to come. Don't
warn them.
Don't just go, Say, I'm about to come.
I'm about to come. My point
Attention.
is, just like...
Incoming.
The noise is always a bit, for me, it's a bit funny. Everyone makes a coming noise. What is it like in the room as those noises sort of echo out? Are people loud? Are they trying to mute it and pretend it isn't happening? What's the vibe?
I gotta say the sound is one of my favorite experiences at the Jacks.
Yeah.
Because you're hearing someone openly express absolute ecstasy. And everybody's different. And sometimes it'll be, oh, there goes Stephen.
Stephen out there.
Oh, I didn't know George was here tonight. So people are sometimes distinctive with their sound. But my favorite sound is what you hear after several people come in close succession. And we have an event called Countdown where we actually help people. We facilitate simultaneous orgasm for the whole group.
I love that.
It's amazing. It's amazing. But the best part is about a minute after all these people come, there's laughter. And people are just like, there's just this sense of joyful release. Yeah. And then they start talking. Then they like start chatting with each other. And it's really warm.
Oh, I love this.
Yeah, I love it.
Okay, if anyone out here is interested, where do they go? RainCityJacks.com?
RainCityJacks.org.
Oh. Okay.
Org.
Trusted.
Yeah, .org.
Org.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
We would love to have you back for the Q&A at the end. You can disappear up and drink beers with Cloyd. Yay. You can talk about masturbation and murder. It's a great combo.
All the M's.
All the M's. And we'll have you back very soon. You're amazing.
Yay. Thank you, David. Thank you.
The Jack Daddy himself. Fucking beautiful. I do find the whole concept so incredibly joyful. Like, we need more joy in this world. Okay. We're coming towards the end. This is like landing the plane. And I know talking about landing planes in America right now isn't a great thing to be talking about. Is Elon in the flight information yet?
I don't know.
Let's not talk about that.
Flying tomorrow, so.
Okay. So something that I wanted to kind of start ending the night on is, before I came to the States and before I did my documentary work, I worked for about 10 years in a newsroom in New Zealand doing sort of entertainment reporting and light journalism. So I was literally the person that would report on the pumpkins being grown in the backyard and that kind of stuff. But the good part of the job at the time was I got to interview musicians that were touring in New Zealand and were coming to the country. And I was very lucky because if you were an entertainment journalist in America, it's so much competition, whereas in New Zealand, it was pretty much just me doing it. And so anyone that came into town that was playing a show in New Zealand, I got access to, which was pretty incredible. And one of my favorite memories of that job was being in Los Angeles in 2015. We were mid-shooting Tickled, and I was in Los Angeles for some other stuff. And Chris Cornell was about to play a show in New Zealand in 3 months. And so I thought, why not reach out to the label and see if while I'm in Los Angeles, I can meet with Chris and talk to him about the show. And I am obsessed with Soundgarden. Like, I'm not just saying this kind of, like, I'm in Seattle. I've seen Soundgarden a few times. My first time seeing Chris Cornell was with Audioslave when they toured in New Zealand. It was the first show that I saw when I was, like, my first year of studying journalism in Auckland in New Zealand. The first show I went to was an Audioslave show, and I just remember being mesmerized by Chris Cornell. And I was in Los Angeles. I put out this request to interview him, and he said yes. And so it was a Sunday, and it was his day off, and him and his wife, Vicky, drove to the hotel I was staying at and sat down with me for an hour. He didn't need to do this because the show in New Zealand had already sold out. And I was back in New Zealand maybe 3 months ago. My niece gave me this Kiwi backpack. It's cute, isn't it? That's the cute part of the show. And I kept the original tape of that Chris Cornell interview from 2015. And I went and found a place to digitize it in LA.
Why were you using VHS in 2015?
No, so to be clear, it's not VHS, it's a Betacam. So I'm that old that when I was doing journalism, this is how we'd record all of our interviews, was on one of these things. But I went and got it digitized, and I just wanted to play a 3-minute clip from our interview because Chris Cornell is one of my favorite people. It's still, you know, when he passed away, I was in Japan shooting Dark Tourist, and I don't cry, but I cried at that time because he's the only celebrity that has passed away that has personally hit me in that way. And I'm sure all of you have people you don't know personally that have passed, and it hits you in a certain way. And Chris was that person because I digested so much of his music. And so I wanted to play a little bit of this interview. It's 3 minutes. It's funny because I look young. He looks like a fucking legend because that's what he is. And I thought we could all watch this for 3 minutes. Bear with me. I love Chris Cornell. That's all.
When you started in music, did you ever think you would be this prolific and have a career that has gone on for this long?
I don't know if I ever imagined specifically, I always felt like as long as I'm doing what inspires me, that someone else will be inspired by it, and that seemed to work out. If there is a golden rule in this, that in music and being a songwriter and being a solo artist or a member of a band or whatever it is, I think it's that. As long as you're really into it and you're truly inspired, other people will be. And no matter how far right or left you go of where you started out, as long as you truly love it and enjoy it, people will always show up. But I had a pivotal moment, I think, around Temple of the Dog, because it was Soundgarden existed. I knew we were special. We had something. I didn't know what it was because it's always an intangible, but I didn't know if I did something in a different context, could that be good? And I was always prolific as a songwriter, and I wrote music that didn't become Soundgarden songs from the beginning of Soundgarden. I would write these weird little experimental things, and I would record them at home on a 4-track, and the local KCMU, the local college station, would play them, on radio shows, and it was really weird stuff. Me singing over just playing a kalimba through a delay, and when Temple of the Dog happened, it was really something that came together right away. It was a couple conversations I had with Jeff Ament and Stone Gossard, and a couple songs I had written. I think Reach Down and Say Hello to Heaven were the first two. We got together and we made this record, and it was clear before anyone even heard it that was special as well, and that though it was completely different, there was really something powerful about it musically. And it was at that moment I thought, I want to be open the rest of my life to doing these kind of things.
Chris Cornell, fucking thank you. There was a bit in Vulture that was written by Frank Guan in 2017 that I just wanted to quickly read because I think it kind of captured the feeling around his death. Way to end a show on a high, I know. Chris, I feel like this sort of summed up what I felt like at that time. Frank Guan wrote for Vulture, what made him a great vocalist and Soundgarden a great band wasn't just technical accomplishment, though they certainly didn't lack for that. Greatness implies complexity, and Soundgarden's greatness lay in its ability to convey not only bleakness and the will to death, but the dogged will to live that opposed it. Life isn't death, but living and dying are actually the same process. Far from being a monument to despair, Soundgarden's music plays out the struggle against them. Cornell was too honest to merely be sullen, and the voice with which he delivered his impressions and the guitars and drums behind them were too beautiful to simply amount to a document of doom. Heavy as death, but dynamic as life, Soundgarden struck a balance between the two, and it was this realness that made their songs a resource for countless desperate individuals to smart. And it was this realness that made their songs a resource for countless desperate individuals, too smart to cheer up and yet too strong to give in. How many lives were pulled, even temporarily, out of the abyss by his words? Too many to count, and no doubt more will be with each passing day. It's absolutely terrible that Chris Cornell is dead, but there is no way around that. And can anyone whose songs keep saving people, even after his death, truly pass out of this world? And I thought that was a fucking great essay. Like any podcast episode we record, I always come to the end and I'm like, I've just been blabbing so much.
Yeah, you did great.
And like, you're the one that has the smarts and shit, and I feel like I just blab continuously. So I want to apologize for constantly blabbing.
No.
You all right?
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to do a segment that was you pitching us ideas, which you kindly wrote on those cards. We've run out of time, so I'm just going to jump straight into a Q&A. We're going to have a mic running around the top and the bottom if our plans have all gone according to plan. And we're just going to spend 10 minutes taking questions and...
answering them.
Yeah. Paul and Cloyd, are you there? Yep. Beautiful. Here you are. Welcome back. You can sit here.
Okay, David, so my question for you is that I was born in New Zealand, but I've lived here my whole life. So I'm wondering what you think would surprise me about the culture in New Zealand.
Wow. What can surprise you about New Zealand?
You keep eggs on the counter?
I'm trying to think of something really surprising. We are, like, what don't you know about us? I feel like this whole show is about this. We wear bare feet out everywhere. So we'll go to the supermarket and we'll be in bare feet. You know this already? Oh, tall poppies. Yeah, we have tall poppy syndrome where we hate to be successful, and so which is the opposite of what you like in America. So we constantly self-sabotage to make sure we fail. And if other people succeed, like Lord, for instance, we as a country are out there to fucking murder her. And it's a really unusual thing about New Zealand that is the opposite to this country. And I'm still getting used to the idea of being able to like talk yourself up in any way and not just be like, I'm a piece of shit. Disappear. It's a weird thing we have.
Hello, this is a question for Jack Daddy. First of all, David, you're wonderful, and I've loved you for years, but I'm more interested in masturbation than I am murder.
Same.
So when you first came out, there was almost like this embarrassed snickering going on about this whole idea of what the Rain City Jacks is, but it sounds like it's not that. It sounds like it's not like a bunch of furtive men shamefully masturbating in a corner. So how is it different from that?
It's furtive men proudly masturbating together. We're still furtive.
Question is for Cloyd. Do you have any insight or opinion into why it seems so serial killers are born out of our state?
Yeah, people ask me that all the time, and I don't know if it's true, because there's serial killers everywhere just about, or there have been. But we have the big numbers here, the Bundy, the Ridgway, which draws attention. But there was in the PI years ago, and you can find it online, serial killers from Washington. There's this big page with like 40 guys on it. And I'm going, I worked that one. But yeah, I don't know. I get asked that all the time.
Is it because it's so gray and cold and people get bored?
It's gray a lot of places. It's gray in Boston. Yeah. It's gray. Yeah.
They're over-caffeinated.
Yeah.
It's the caffeine. Yeah, it's the caffeine.
Hi, this question is for David. I don't know if you've ever answered this, but what do you think the nationality of the ghost that lives in your house is?
Oh, no, I know. No, he's European. Yeah, he's the whitest man you've ever met. He's 82 years old. He wears a top hat. He's got a trench coat. He floats in over my bed. He hovers over my bed. I say, hello. He says, nothing. And I say, hello again. I'm going to go back to sleep now. I turn over. I go back to sleep. He floats back out the window. I sleep. Yeah. Okay.
I want to preface this by saying that I feel like Seattle is a safe space to ask this question, but given the current state of affairs of our depressing country, are there any topics that might be like just no-goes for a Flightless Bird? Because I think, I don't know, given the cards that were given out, there's a lot of shit we could cover on this podcast.
Totally. I think the thing, I'll let Rob talk to this as well, but I have like two thoughts about this, and I think one thing is that I don't think we're a podcast that can like be reactive to like news of the day. Like we're not the Daily, we're more sort of, because we don't have the team to sort of hone in on a thing that suddenly happened and do it with smarts because you need, and because we're idiots. No, because you need like a big team to do that. So I think we're still going to be looking at like bigger picture stuff. I think nothing is off the table in regards to bigger picture things.
But that said, we'll still do LA wildfires and inauguration week when...
Yeah, it's unavoidable sometimes not talking to the things that are immediately happening. And I think we're always trying to strike we want to surprise an audience. We want to give them something really heavy and intense like the capital punishment episode, and then we want to do an episode about something much lighter like American Girl dolls. Like my dream result is if people are on the Reddit going, fuck, this show's changed. What the fuck is this? And it's like, no, it's changed for that episode, but we're back to something else next week. That's how I want to keep people surprised and interested. Does that fit, Rob? Yeah. Two more questions, please.
Should America learn from the dildo throwing actions of New Zealand that that's the only way to protest?
That's a great question. So the question was, should we learn from the dildo throwing ways of New Zealand in regards to protest? And that is because...
And I'm a Kiwi, by the way.
Respect. We're the best people. There was an incident in New Zealand many years ago where a member of the public threw allegedly a dildo at a politician, and it is now played in slow motion, and it's beautiful. It's like this erect penis just hits this politician on the lips, and it flaps, and it's amazing. Something that shocked me, and is going to shock you, is that it was not a dildo. It was, oh no. It was a dog chew toy. So the myth about that...
Shaped like a penis?
Shaped like a penis. Oh yeah, it was still a cock. Yeah, it wasn't a dildo, it was a chew toy, and not many people know that, so I'm really pleased to pass it on. Hayden Donnell, who you often hear at the beginning of episodes, Hayden did a very obscure show called Get It to Te Papa. Te Papa is New Zealand's national museum, and he did a TV show trying to get iconic things into the museum. One of them was the dildo that hit Joyce on the face. In his investigation, he found out that it was, in fact, a chew toy for a dog. Anyway,
potato.
Same thing. Yeah, you can still fuck someone with it. Okay.
Hello, my name is Liam. This is the first time I've ever watched one of your shows or anything like that. My dad's
What are you doing here? Who dragged you here?
I got 2 tickets. My dad loves your show, and he's been listening to every podcast. I'm a pretty shitty son. I'm over here for college. I was born and raised in Japan. He sends me clips of your show all the time. So I came to watch.
Type of fan.
Yeah, but he wasn't able to come. Obviously, he's in Japan. He's retired military working there. But when you were in Japan for your dark tourism, I just want to know, did you ever try natto?
Try what?
Natto.
No, so what is that? I don't know.
It's like a fermented soybean food that they put on rice. I
never did, but I'm going there in 1 month, and I'm going to try it.
Please try. I have a bet with my dad that if I'm able to graduate college with like full like presidentials list type of thing, he will try natto for the first time. Keep in mind, he's lived there for like 30 years, and he's married to a Japanese woman. But
what would
he's
just
never tried
really
it.
quickly? What will it do to me?
You might think it's gross. It's really sticky. You take these fermented soybeans and you put soy sauce and
Is it like
mustard.
alcohol? Is it alcohol?
No. It's just beans. It's like these like fermented beans that are kind of sticky.
Okay.
You just put them on rice. I would try it. You can find it at any convenience store.
But
yeah,
it's not like a drug.
No. It's actually considered really healthy. And a lot of people eat it for breakfast.
I will go to Japan and I will try some healthy beans. And please thank your dad. Your dad, I'd say that, honestly, as we're like trying to get this podcast out into the world, the idea of sharing clips is all we want. So your dad is amazing and thank you very much. He's a legend. Me and Rob will go to the merch stand because we're trying to like sell merch, you know? But we'll go to the merch stand and say hello, come and hang out, and then the venue will eventually kick us out. Talk to us there. Thank you for coming to our first Flightless Bird live show. We have our friends, because my mum, someone's leaving, don't leave yet. Our friend's taking photos. Come up, please just take a photo of the crowd. Could the lights come up? I just want to send this to my mum, Pam, to say that I'm doing okay over here. And just all cheer and like, yay, yeah. Oh yeah. We'll see you on the feed on YouTube, on Spotify and Apple. We'll see you at the merch stand.
On Tuesdays.
Have a beautiful night. Tuesdays, every Tuesday. See you soon. Have a beautiful night. Bye.
Calvin, have you ever been to Seattle?
Yes, I have. I like the like Space Needle Museum, and I like the Space Needle. I like the playground. I like the restaurants.
What was your favorite thing that you ate in Seattle?
Maybe the oysters. We saw the troll. It's like a wooden troll with a house necklace. And his name is Jacob Two Trees. And we went at the market center. We went on the Ferris wheel. We saw a huge pond with ducks. It's like a cliff flowing with water down it. And we got really close to the waterfall, which is cool. And it was really, really windy there. And we also went to the Garden and Glass Museum, the Chili Gardens.
Would you want to go back to Seattle again?
Yeah.
Do you have anything to say to people that live in Seattle?
I hope they're having a good day, and I like their city, and if you live in Seattle, I really like your town, and I really like the buildings there. And I like the big red light on top of the Space Needle. Thanks, Seattle. Like and subscribe.
Surprise, we're the musical guests for this evening. We're Real Dawn Music right here from Seattle, Washington. Thank you for being here.
And I'm going is gay. To eat your name in likeness like a meal for heaven's sake. And each you all the numbers at the gate. We make the world and it's ripped out for a shame. We're the mighty wild west. Mighty wild west. Thank you so much. Normally we play in places that smell like urine. So this is such an upgrade. Thank you all for being here. We're Real Dawn Music. If you like what you're hearing, upstairs at the merch booth, we have records, cassettes. You can talk to my wife and I and the beautiful band after the show. Come say what's up. We got a show April 10th at the High Dive. If you're interested, we got flyers up there too, so mark your calendars. So cool to be here. When Rob was a little teenager, he used to come see the bands that I was in when I was in my 20s. And now look at Rob doing all this crazy stuff with David. Pretty cool. Just thank you guys for being here. And everything that I've got, I had to get it in the worst way. Like waterboarding when you're thirsty. You've got to get your hands dirty. And in the world I play, for every bit of beauty you get bludgeoned on the sea. That's the yin, that's the yang. And every single day there's two opposites of civil wars inside my brain. Band-aid on a fracture, broke but I'm in rapture, shaking like an April sea. No, not so good. Civil wars inside my brain.